Prince Philip probably wasn't mixed up in the Profumo affair. What the show portrays, in the Season 2 finale Mystery Man, the Crown tackles one of the biggest political scandals of post-war Britain, the so-called Profumo affair. The show even implicates Prince Philip in the scandal. Philip begins to develop a friendship with Dr. Stephen Ward. Ward even goes so far as to invite Philip to his country estate for the weekend, where he is throwing a party. It is later revealed that Ward basically pimps out young women to powerful men. One such young woman, Christine Keeler, is involved with both a member of the British government and a Soviet agent. The show strongly suggests that Philip attended Ward's parties, since an unidentified mystery man appears in one of the photos from such an event. Considering the enormity of the scandal, the suggestion that Prince Philip was connected to it is a pretty damning allegation. What really happened? True, Prince Philip had a link to Dr. Stephen Ward. Ward once sketched him. But there is absolutely no evidence that Prince Philip was connected to the scandal or socialized with Christine Keeler. Prince Philip didn't call Prince Charles bloody weak. What the show portrays, in Season 2, Episode 9, Prince Charles has to deal with bullies at Gordonstown, the boarding school he attends. Prince Philip calls his son bloody weak for not standing up to said bullies. When they fly home from Scotland, what really happened? Queen Elizabeth Roman II was not pleased with this portrayal, which she deemed inaccurate. A palace insider spoke to Glamour and explained the Queen's distress. The Queen realizes that many who watch The Crown take it as an accurate portrayal of the royal family, and she cannot change that. She was very upset by the way Prince Philip is depicted as being a father insensitive to his son's well-being. She was particularly annoyed at a scene in which Philip has no sympathy for a plainly upset Charles while he is flying him home from Scotland. That simply did not happen. The show sidesteps a lot of the negligence that led to the Aberfan disaster and mischaracterizes the Queen's response. What the show portrays, in a devastating episode, The Crown depicts the situation in which a mountain of mining debris descends onto the town of Aberfan, Wales, taking 144 lives. The episode Season 3, Episode 3 uses the incident to probe the new emotional expectations placed on the Queen's shoulders and how she struggles to fulfill them. Only after Prime Minister Harold Wilson pressures her into it does she finally visit the grieving town, and in one scene, Queen Elizabeth is shown pretending to cry. What really happened? It really did take the Queen 8 days to visit Aberfan in the wake of the tragedy, something she famously regrets. Though she regrets her delay, some survivors don't. Jeff Edwards, for one, believes that the show woefully mischaracterizes the Queen's response to the disaster. He claims, "I am uneasy about the way in which the Queen was portrayed. I think she came over in the show as a very uncaring person who didn't show her emotions, and in reality that wasn't the case, and isn't the case today." In another interview, Edwards insists when she did arrive she was visibly upset and the people of Aberfan appreciated her being here. She came when she could and nobody would condemn her for not coming earlier, especially as everything was such a mess. One of the Queen's biographers claims that the show's portrayal of the Queen feigning emotion during her visit was extremely unkind of them, as well as a bit sick. By all accounts, the Queen had a genuine emotional response to being at Aberfan. Despite what The Crown shows, Prince Philip didn't attend the mass funeral at Aberfan. Moreover, the show provides little context for what actually caused the event: systemic negligence. Though one scene depicts angry, grieving townspeople pointing fingers at the cold board, the episode is less interested in depicting the state-level failures that enabled the needless loss of over 100 people, and it is in arguing how emotionally stunted the Queen is.
Princess Anne's fling with Andrew Parker Bowles didn't coincide with Charles's relationship with Camilla Shand.
What the show portrays, Andrew Parker Bowles and Camilla Shand are first introduced in the middle of their on-again, off-again relationship. To get at one another, they enter into relationships with two Windsors. Parker Bowles hooks up with Princess Anne, while Shand develops feelings for Prince Charles, who falls madly in love with her. What really happened, Princess Anne really did have a fling with Andrew Parker Bowles before his marriage to Camilla Shand. But their brief relationship occurred before Charles and Camilla met in 1971 or 1972. Anne and Parker Bowles reportedly remained friends. Her daughter Zara even counts him as a godfather.
Philip's mother never did an interview with The Guardian.
What the show portrays in Season 3, Episode 4, Prince Philip's mother Princess Alice moves into Buckingham Palace to escape political turmoil in Greece, where she had been living in a convent. Though Philip greets her arrival with annoyance, she turns out to be the royal family's secret weapon. After a BBC documentary about everyday life for the Windsors wildly backfires with critics and viewers alike ridiculing privileged royal life, Princess Alice does an interview with a Guardian journalist. She wins over the writer, and her story wins over the British public and Prince Philip. What really happened, Princess Alice's life was compelling. As the Crown correctly shows, she was institutionalized, and her family viewed her as eccentric. The Guardian interview never happened, however. Furthermore, the BBC documentary wasn't the disaster that the show makes it out to have been.
There is no evidence that Lord Mountbatten and the Queen Mother conspired to break up Charles and Camilla.
What the show portrays in Season 3, Prince Charles finally meets someone who values and respects him in ways his family never has, Camilla Shand, a young commoner from a wealthy family. The problem, she's already involved with military officer Andrew Parker Bowles. Charles quickly gets serious about Camilla and tells Lord Mountbatten, his great-uncle and mentor, that he intends to marry her. Rather than let the heir to the British crown marry a seemingly inappropriate woman, Mountbatten conspires with the Queen Mother and ultimately the rest of the royal family to put a stop to the relationship. They send Charles on a multi-month naval appointment to get him out of the picture. While he's away, they see to it that Camilla is quickly married off to Andrew Parker Bowles. What really happened, true, Camilla Shand was not considered to be a suitable bride for the future King of the United Kingdom. Lord Mountbatten also really advised Prince Charles to sow his wild oats rather than settle down too quickly. Yet, there is no evidence that Mountbatten and the Queen Mother actively quashed the relationship. It seems that Charles simply took Mountbatten's advice to heart and wasn't ready for marriage in the early 1970s. Camilla Shand genuinely loved Andrew Parker Bowles and, by all accounts, was thrilled to marry him even though it took them a while to make it down the aisle. Family did ultimately push the couple to finally tie the knot. The bride's and groom's fathers had grown so impatient watching their children, who so obviously loved each other, fall in and out, that they took matters into their own hands and announced their children's engagement in a London newspaper, thereby forcing the couple to get on with it.
Margaret Thatcher's decision to retake the Falklands wasn't connected to the disappearance of her son.
What the show portrays, During a 1982 audience with Queen Elizabeth II, Margaret Thatcher tearfully confesses that her favorite child Mark has gone missing during a long-distance car race. Though he is eventually located unharmed, Thatcher's mental and emotional state influences her to engage in a war with Argentina over the Falkland Islands, against the advice of some of her ministers. What really happened? In January 1982, Mark Thatcher was off the grid for 6 days in the Sahara Desert. Though his disappearance unnerved the Thatcher family, it likely had no impact whatsoever on the Prime Minister's decision to go to war over the Falklands. The war didn't start until April, months after Mark had been found. Thatcher wanted war as a way to counteract the discontent simmering about unemployment and devastating cuts to social programs. The war revived Britain's imperial spirit. By wrongly connecting one of Thatcher's signature of controversial actions to her emotional ordeal, the Crown suggests that Britain's first female Prime Minister let her emotions shape policy. This portrayal is consistent with the show's overemphasis of Thatcher's domesticity, as she insists on cooking for her cabinet and cries in front of the Queen.
Princess Diana didn't scheme to meet Prince Charles while dressed in a costume.
But the show portrays Prince Charles visits Lady Sarah Spencer, his latest girlfriend, at her family estate. Sarah's teenage sister Diana, decked out in a costume for a school play, crosses paths with the prince in the foyer while Sarah takes a phone call. He appears charmed by her. When Charles tells Sarah about the incident, she hints that Diana may have purposely orchestrated the encounter. What really happened? Prince Charles's very first meeting with his future wife likely happened at the Sandringham estate. But the first time that they truly made one another's acquaintance happened in 1977 when Charles visited the Spencer family estate for a hunting party. 16-year-old Diana seemed to have made an impression on Charles, and he later admitted, "I remember thinking what a very jolly and amusing and attractive 16-year-old she was. I mean, great fun and bouncy and full of life and everything."
Michael Fagan didn't break into Buckingham Palace to complain about Margaret Thatcher, and the show downplays the effects of her policies.
What the show portrays, Michael Fagan, is one of the victims of Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. Like millions of other Britons, he is unemployed and frustrated that no one seems to care about him or his plight. So Fagan takes matters into his own hands. He decides to appeal directly to Queen Elizabeth II and let her know about the consequences of Thatcher's policies. So he breaks into Buckingham Palace and talks to Elizabeth in her bedroom for several minutes before palace security takes him away. What really happened? Michael Fagan really did find his way into the Queen's bedroom in 1982, though his motives weren't political. Fagan even claimed he didn't have a real plan in mind at all. As he recalled, "I don't know why I did it. Something just got into my head." Though Fagan didn't break into Buckingham Palace to have a word with the Queen about Margaret Thatcher, the Prime Minister's policies really did create social and economic crises throughout Britain. In fact, the Crown overlooks Thatcher's controversial domestic policies such as her role in the Troubles in Northern Ireland, her response to a miners' strike, and the inequalities that her administration heightened in favor of her foreign policy in the Falklands and South Africa. By using Michael Fagan as a stand-in for all the livelihoods Thatcher damaged, the show diminishes the lived experiences of millions of Britons.
Princess Margaret didn't uncover the truth about her Bowes-Lyon cousins.
What the show portrays in the 1980s, Princess Margaret discovers the truth about two maternal cousins whom she believed had passed decades ago. Nerissa and Catherine Bowes-Lyon, daughters of the Queen Mother's brother, had actually been placed in a mental institution in the early 1940s. When Margaret confronts her mother about her discovery, the Queen Mother admits that she knew about her niece's fate. They had to be institutionalized, she claims, because the family feared that the sisters could be used as evidence of an unhealthy royal bloodline. Locking them away, she explained, was the best way to protect the Windsors. What really happened in 1942, 22-year-old Nerissa and 15-year-old Catherine Bowes-Lyon were committed to the Royal Earlswood Hospital in Surrey. But they weren't institutionalized as a way to protect the royal family. It's more likely that they were committed to protect the Bowes-Lyon family's standing. Princess Margaret didn't uncover the truth about her cousins either. The Queen Mother apparently only learned about her niece's institutionalization in 1982. Though the royal family apparently didn't know the full extent of the Bowes-Lyon sisters' situation, they never made an attempt to visit or support them once they found out the truth.
The Queen may not have directed her press secretary to voice her displeasure about Margaret Thatcher to the Sunday Times.
What the show portrays, Queen Elizabeth Roman II, frustrated by Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher's refusal to approve sanctions against apartheid-era South Africa, gives a directive to her press secretary Michael Shee to share her displeasure with the press. Since monarchs are supposed to be apolitical, Elizabeth's opinion becomes major news. What really happened? The Sunday Times reported in 1986 that the Queen believed Margaret Thatcher was uncaring, confrontational, and divisive. Buckingham Palace officially denied the report, and there is no evidence that Elizabeth actually encouraged Michael Shee to leak her opinions. According to Thatcher biographer Robert Hardman, no one at the palace or Downing Street seriously believed that the Queen had authorized, or even nudged, anyone to speak in those terms about her government.
Princess Margaret never urged the royal family to call off Charles and Diana's wedding.
What the show portrays, shortly before Prince Charles and Diana Spencer's high-profile wedding, Princess Margaret urges the rest of the family to call it off. Recalling her own wounds, she believes the marriage will be a disaster and thinks it will be better for everyone if it doesn't happen at all. What really happened? If Princess Margaret objected to the wedding, she forever held her peace about it. In fact, Princess Margaret's plea came from actor Helena Bonham Carter's imagination rather than the pages of history. Bonham Carter reportedly suggested that Margaret vocalize her reservations about the marriage. Though Margaret didn't try to derail the wedding, both Prince Charles and Diana apparently harbored their own doubts. They each wondered if they should cancel the wedding. Princesses Margaret and Diana enjoyed a positive relationship initially, but they eventually fell out.
Hey guys, thank you so much for the support and likes and comments down below, and also thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to see you in the next video. Then take care, bye.